All right, welcome. We're in July already, and it's chilly outside.
Yeah, very cold.
Very
Wait,
cold.
inside. Cold inside. Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
Cold both.
I bring extra changes of clothes to the office every day because I'm just gonna sweat from my car to the office door, and from the office door to my car.
Yeah. You're going to the beach soon now.
For a few days.
You'll get a little bit of reprieve.
I did look. It is like 10 to 15 degrees
is.
cooler at the beach than it is here, so that'll be nice.
It'll be nice.
Yeah.
Since you're a dad going on vacation, do you want to do a dad joke to get yourself prepared for said vacation?
Yeah, I think my kids will like this one actually.
Oh, okay, good.
All right,
You're starting?
I will start.
Excellent.
Did you know that the first French fries were not cooked in France?
No?
No, they were cooked in Greece.
They were cooked in Greece. That is a good one for the kids. They're going to like that one.
Yeah, love French fries.
This morning, my wife was yelling at me. She said, "Man, you never listen to anything I say." And I'm like, that's a really weird way to start a conversation.
Oh, Jen. Poor Jen.
Stuff in July too, as well.
Yes.
So a lot of the stuff we started before we turned the camera on is a lot of repeated stuff. If you watch the previous few months, I don't think there's been a ton of change, to be honest. We still have our low inventory. We still have like a seller's market. We still have buyers that are trying to leverage the best they can to get as much as they can to make these purchases, because closing help is still fairly limited. Not zero, but pretty limited. So they have to come up with other ways through grants and other things. So a lot of those still remain the same, even when we're in July. One of the things I am seeing is, due to the competition and so forth, I'm starting to see folks get kind of reeled in a little bit by like credit union, and I'm not going to name names, but certain credit unions. And I try to tell them there's a huge difference between your local lender and a credit union. And I think you might be able to explain even better.
Well, I have a very specific scenario recently where the client was very well qualified, in my opinion. Maybe the credit score wasn't as stellar, but it was certainly within the qualifying range, as we always, there was no work to be done. Salaried individual, had just sold a house and made a lot of money on it.
Good.
And this other lender was fumbling over this file for no reason. Essentially, a year and a half ago, this individual left their job, took a few months where they were going to do some entrepreneurial stuff, and then decided it wasn't for them, went back to the salary position, similar to what they had been doing before. To us, that's just a little blip in the radar. Easy explanation. They could not get over at this particular credit union. And the problem was, they didn't say up front, hey, this is going to be a problem. They just had this long, drawn-out fight back and forth with the client, to the point where she got fed up and she said, you know what, I'm going to call somebody else. Luckily, her cousin is somebody I did a loan for, and she called us, and we closed it in less than 2 weeks because, the seller, they had already extended a couple times. But it's an example of something very simple that a credit union should have been able to diagnose from the get-go.
Yeah.
The problem is they don't have a dedicated loan officer or someone that does this, day to day. They are interested in this variety of products: banking, auto loans, credit cards. Oh, we do mortgages too.
Yeah.
This is our bread and butter.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I'm seeing, and we see pretty frequently, is they run out these deals, these specials that really are bait and switch type stuff, where they bring the people in and then they won't even do like numbers for them and show them what the numbers look like. They'll wait till you are in the process of the contract, and then all of a sudden those numbers change.
Yeah,
that happens a lot.
I met with a couple, I think it was last Thursday afternoon, in my office, and I said, I want you to send me listings as you receive them from someone like Billy, before you go to actually visit the property. And why is that? I want you to be able to walk through a house, 123 Main Street, and know that this house is going to cost you $2,800 a month, for example. You will never get that from some of these credit unions and banks, because they say they don't have the infrastructure to do that many estimates up front before it's a real live deal. They say, once you go to contract, we'll send you numbers. And so that should be the biggest red flag from somebody, to say, how am I supposed to purchase a home or go into contract on a home, let's say, without knowing what it's going to cost you. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I was doing an open house this past weekend, and somebody came in and insisted that I would have to be with a certain credit in order for them to use me, because there was incentives that they couldn't actually explain what the incentives were, because the bank just says incentives, and they don't really know what those incentives are. And I'm like, well, you probably should need to talk to a local lender, and at the very least compare the numbers and compare the incentives. Take those incentives to a local lender, see if they can match or beat it, because if you're truly trying to find the best deal, that's the best way. Is you take those inflated numbers from a credit union and take it to your local lender and see what they really truly look like.
We have a lot of flexibility. So if you brought it to us, we might say, hey, we could give you the best of both worlds. We can give you the service side, the local lender, the reputation, and I'll match those numbers. You know, so sometimes that's a scenario, or I'll get close to it. I'll do my best, right? But if I can get very close to it, along with everything I just mentioned, and then I'm sure your realtor, especially if you're using somebody here that's within the local community, real estate wise, they will applaud that decision.
Plus, two other things. One, I love being able to get pre-approval letters on a Saturday in a timely fashion, and not have to wait. And then, of course, be able to sit down and face to face with them. You know, you'd be able to actually talk to a person and be the same person the whole time. And
but what did we have over the weekend? It was a counter scenario where they had submitted the offer during regular business hours, but then the seller came back, countered. The client wanted to kind of know, they were jostling between two different ideas, and they said, we just want to see the numbers before we make a decision. And that was Saturday. Sent it out to them. They kind of thought about it and sent it back Sunday and got under contract. Today we have a fully ratified contract. Imagine if I wasn't available to do that. What would have happened? I don't know.
You wait till Monday, you can get multiple offers sometimes. Especially if the house is nice. So be careful with those bait and switches. Don't just go with the credit union because that's what they say. Go at least compare the two, have that conversation with Tim, and at least look. And if the credit union is better, then the credit union is better. It is what it is. But at least if you're really comparing like you say you are, have two people look at it.
Absolutely.
Another,
we're talking about credit unions and banks and things of that sort. One more thing on that. Every now and then you'll have someone who's wealthy, and they bank with someone, and they hold a lot of assets with that bank. That's a scenario where sometimes I'll say, I'll tip my cap, but from start to finish, if you need anything, I'll still answer the phone. I'll help you through the process. But every now and then those banks give such and I'm not really talking about the credit unions. Sometimes the banks give such great terms to those types of people because they're basically lending them their own money at a small premium. You know, so that's a little bit different. But for the most part, your average Joe home buyer here in Southern Maryland, we're going to be able to compete.
Awesome. So the other thing we have been getting a lot of lately, and we're not going to get into the sides of it, but there was a political year, and we're not talking political sides because I just have no interest in that part. However, we do know that has impact on the housing, and we have a lot of folks that are sitting on the sidelines kind of waiting to see how things play out because they think that rates will go down due to the whatnot. But historically speaking, that's not the case.
You need one side or both sides to have some sort of political discourse when it comes to housing or Federal Reserve, spending, deficit. All those types of things can sometimes either spook the bond market or allow the bond market to start to buy mortgage-backed securities. There's none of that right now. I think if anybody could admit, no matter what side you're on, that there's really no real policy that's being spoken into existence. Whenever one of these candidates is in front of a microphone, they're not speaking much about affordable housing, not really speaking too much about how they're going to tackle this huge deficit. That's a big concern on the bond market, is that we still have all this spending. Now, that could change. They might, one of the two, might decide to actually delve into those types of conversations when a microphone is in front of them. But until then, those who say that there is going to be movement in interest rates because it's an election year, it's absolutely false. There has to be specific rhetoric, I hate that word because people throw that around, but there has to be specific, especially in these debates and things of that sort, as to what they're going to do.
A direct stance.
Correct. And it has to actually impact our business, right? So until that happens, rates aren't going to do anything other than move when they've been moving, which is jobs reports,
The
inflation
Feds.
reports,
Yeah.
and what the Fed is going to do. However, I will say this: politics aside, Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve, I think they are realizing that what they've been doing over the last 2 years and bringing pain to the economy is actually working to the point where now there's over a 90% chance of a rate cut this year. And there's like a 50%, last time I checked, like a 50% chance of up to 3 rate hikes by the end of the year.
Okay.
If that does happen, mortgage rates should respond in a positive manner and they should go down. But there have been times where there have been really high expectations of rate cuts, and then we get a really bad inflation report, or we get a bad jobs report, and then those expectations go down.
Yeah.
But everything's trending in the right direction where
Yeah.
rates could fall. They're not going to fall off a cliff. I think it would be very, very gradual.
So you're saying we're never seeing 3 again?
I will put my whole 401k that we'll never see 3s again. But I think if we're able to fall another 3/4 or a percent, it's going to be very good for affordability.
A nice medium ground.
Yeah.
And that's what I keep saying. You and I have these discussions frequently. Like the 3s were just a little too aggressive. Like people they're happy they got their 3s, but some of the things people had to do to get into that house at 3% was just not good for them or their house, or foregoing inspections or overpaying and things of that nature. Whereas we're like, for a while we're in the 7s and 8s, also not that great because affordability is not there. So 5s, 5.5s, it's a nice little sweet spot where like you're a consumer, you have a regular job, good credit, you can get into something without it being too unreasonable.
Yeah. And then it's also going to give people more buying power. It's going to allow the average home buyer that's out looking to maybe be a little bit more aggressive. It's also going to push more home buyers into the market. We've said that 10, 20 times on these videos that if rates fall, home buyers are going to be pushed out in the market because they're going to go, oh, I can stomach 5.5. I have 3 at my house now, but I've outgrown it. I can do the next.
5, yeah.
So the smart ones are right now buying when rates are where they are, mid-6s roughly, because when rates fall to 5.5, they want to be sitting in their new house, looking out the window, laughing at everybody else.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we happened to fall into, you and I both, where like the rates dropped into 3s. We were in houses and just got lucky in that regard. So we refinanced without all the pressure, not having to do anything crazy, and but that's probably not going to happen again. I mean, if you just are patient, get into the 5s, rates at some point in your life will drop down. And then you can still do inspections and do all the things that you're supposed to be doing to protect yourself.
Right. Yes, that is the best case scenario.
That is huge.
Balance is a good word for that. But if anything, watching this video out there, dispelling that myth of election year good for rates, there's no backbone behind that argument.
Yep. So I think we don't have a ton today, to be honest with you. We wanted to get right to the point, go over some topics that our buyers were going over and asking us questions about, and those are the 2 big ones, right? The credit union stuff and then the election year stuff, and that's most of because I think everybody's gotten used to the rates. They're like 6, we get it.
Settled in.
I think people are managing their money if they plan on buying a house. I think people are preparing more. I think buyers are not making any rash decisions. Like they have the money, they've been saving up, they've been planning. I think that's kind of where we're at with all of our buyers. So those topics haven't changed for you and I since October.
Yeah.
So,
well, if you have buyers that are preparing, it's not congruent with the credit union. I'm not going to give you an estimate until you're under contract. Thought. Yeah. If you're a buyer out there that wants to prepare, we are the type of company that will help you to prepare because we'll show you so many different scenarios. I mean, there's clients that I run 5, 10, 15, 20% down. Okay, we want to do 10% down. Now here's 3 different rates. Now here's 3 different mortgage insurance scenarios. It is endless sometimes the amount of breakdowns that we can do for somebody. And then we see 10 houses. Let me get numbers on all these 10 houses. So it's not uncommon for me to have 20 different breakdowns in someone's file before they go under contract, and I'm happy to do it.
Yep. So there you go. Yeah. That's it. That's all we got for today. It's going to be a pretty quick July.
No, with French fries cooked in grease.
Well, you're going to Ocean City.
I'm getting Thrashers.
I was going to say Thrashers. You're getting all set there.
And I'm going to stop by Bahama Mamas. Right.
That's right. That's the in-laws. They own Bahama Mamas right there.
Shout out.
154th.
Yep. Crab cakes.
Yep.
Love it.
Crab cakes and crabs and all this stuff.
Good stuff.
So there we go. Hope everybody's enjoying their summer.
August
traveling,
is next.
doing their things. Yeah, we'll have August next. In August, we're doing a vinyl show, vinyl and vintage. We're gonna do it's gonna be a cool little record show. So be on the lookout for ads for that because it'll be a nice little spot. We'll have the beer truck and the food truck and all that stuff there. So
and we will see First Home. We will see everybody at Neon Nights, Jefferson Patterson Park,
Yeah, I'll be there
5K,
too.
August 3rd. We're going to have a tent. We're going to hand out some neon
You gonna
stuff.
run it again?
We're going to run it, yep.
Okay.
We have some fun things planned, so hopefully we see a lot of you out there.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Good. Awesome.
Hopefully the weather stays.
It's in the evening. It should be all right.
We'll be fine. You know what? Just suck it up and just do it. You know what
We
I mean?
may or may not be giving out cooling towels. out
What's
on
a
the
cooling
cooler.
towel?
Yeah, put it in a cooler. It kind
Yeah.
of holds the temperature. You put it around your neck. First Home Mortgage logo.
Just stay hydrated.
There we go.
You'll be all right. I mean, you played baseball those years. It was not chilly outside playing baseball in the summer.
No, it wasn't, but you don't really
Yeah.
sweat much on the bench.
Get out of here. All right, sir. Thanks for your July. We appreciate it. We appreciate all you. And of course, if you have any questions, we're easily accessible on social media or contact information. It's 410-708-8858. And he is
443-624-0235.
get a hold of us. We'll answer your questions and help you out the best we can.
See you guys.